Well, of the 200 plus restaurants and cafes here at the Expo site, many of them call the UAE home, treating diners to delicious dishes from some true local gems.
Yep, and the architect behind the unique design of these homegrown eateries is Pallavi Dean, the founder and creative director of Dubai-based design studio Raw, and she's here to tell us more. To see, sorry, Pallavi, but this script.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
I do like the puns, Lee.
Yeah, I know. They are getting steadily worse, though, Pallavi. That's the problem. That's the problem. So we'll work on those. But yeah, thanks for getting up and joining us here today. Tell us, architect, design, how is all that linked in with Expo?
Look, you know, as an architect, you have to play with the 5 senses, and taste is such an important sensory journey. So obviously there's tactile, there's, you know, vision, there's hearing, but then there's food. We have to be entertained through our tummies, right? So there's a perfect intersection between the two.
It's so interesting because you grew up in the UAE, so it must have been a very proud moment for you to get to make such an impact with these beautiful locations here, and you know, and try and bring this sense of nostalgia to allow the homegrown heroes to shine, but also give them a bit of a twist, a bit of that raw design that you're known and loved for.
Look, it's really interesting. All these restaurants, which we call the local gems, they have such sort of, you know, vivid memories for me, right? So, you know, did really bad after a PTA meeting. Okay, let's go grab, you know, manakish at Al Reef. You know, celebrating after a big night out. Let's go get something at Dampa. So it was really interesting bringing them into the 2022 version and showing the world what that's really like. And, you know, kudos to Expo. Yes, you've got the Michelin star, you've got all these new brands, but let's not forget these guys who really build the culinary scene here. So it was so nice bringing their vision to life and working really closely with them.
Now, as far as the restaurants are concerned, I mean, there's so much variety. I mean, to create a restaurant that stands out in a crowd, to create something that people want to go to, from an architect's perspective, was that a bit of a challenge?
Do you know, Lee, that's a really good question. We steered clear of that, right? There's so much beautiful architecture here, and we didn't want it to be gimmicky. We were hoping that the brand names themselves would draw the crowds. And you mentioned Al Baik, you saw the queues. Ravi's is an institution.
Yeah,
I mean, there are people who call me and they're like, we're coming just to go to Ravi's. But that's wonderful with Expo, right? Some will come for the tech, some will come for the architecture, but some will genuinely come here for the food. And that's what it is.
Now, you took on this huge project. Originally, it was going to be 20. There were a few changes, obviously the pandemic. It was about a dozen. But what's important, you did all of this in about 4 weeks' time. So between the business and super mum, and you're a bit of a power couple in the UAE with Richard as well. You know, how did you manage to bring this to life in such a short amount of time?
Look, you know, when Expo picks up the phone and calls you and says, we have 20 restaurants, what do? You put everything else on hold because you're like, this is my home. I have to contribute meaningfully to it. But look, I have a fantastic team. We're 92% female. And if you ever want to get a job done, Katie, who do you go to?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Sorry, Lee, sorry. But you've got the other Katie in there as well. But, you know, we did kind of get it out in 4 weeks, but we didn't compromise on quality or the design. We just put in longer hours. But it was so exciting for all of us to be a part of this.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had such big praise as well. Architectural Digest has called you one of the hottest boutique design companies in the UAE. I feel like every month I open a newspaper and Raw has won something else. You know, what is next? How do you give that trademark Raw design to something and give it its own unique personality?
Look, that's a really good question. And I think most of us are always future focused, right? We're like, what's next? What can I do next? But I'm just really content right now. I'm really grateful. We've come such a long way in the 8 years the firm's been open. And I'm just kind of soaking it all in. Like, look where we are. What a moment for architecture. So for me, what makes Roar? I think it's personality. We bring a lot of personality into our projects. And we think about the human experience. And at the base of it, we all spend 89% of our time indoors. So let's make that a beautiful space.
It's a great thing. It's at the stage of our life, and more my life certainly, maybe like yours as you're coming across, it's like, and breathe, and relax, and enjoy. Because that journey can be a long journey and a stressful journey, especially with Richard as well, your hubby, who does the wonderful show in the morning before us on Dubai One, and with all the other team, Tom as well, and all the gang. So it must be like a ferocious household you guys live in as well.
But it's fun, right, Lee? I mean, if you get one life, you got to give it 100%. I don't know why, but I've also taken on an MBA recently. So I thought, you know, running business. business.
bored, were you?
I was just a bit bored. I was like, what else can I add to my plate? But the thing is, you have one life. You got to live every minute. But you're so right. You sometimes have to take a step back and be like, you know what? This is good. Let me just go with this and enjoy it.
We're almost out of time, but I have to say, from an architect's point of view, what is your favourite thing about Expo, apart from your own designs? What is something here that really stands out to you?
Look, I love the public sphere, right? The public spaces, just walking around and soaking it all in. I could talk about individual pavilions, but I'm not gonna, be biased like that. Just go to all my restaurants and then you're good. No, but it's the public space. It's beautiful.
Stunning, very well said. Well, lovely to see you. Say hello to the family, and we hope you can join us again soon.
Thank you so much.
Nice to finally meet you, Pallavi. Thank you very much.